Hi guys, I'm going to do a mini repeat pattern. It's with a regular polygon. This is 6 by 8 centimeters. It's a small drawing. You might have seen this thing on the internet where people draw a few points and then they connect those points with a line. And on one side of the line they start drawing an arc and a wider arc and a wider arc. On the other side an arc, a wider arc, wider arc again. That one looks quite circular. Obviously the distance affects the shape of them, and if you've already drawn one of the shapes in, it will impact on what you do next. So a bit of distortion into this one because I don't want to overlap into this shape. I'll put another one down here because I've got a bit of an awkward space. Now I do not want to go outside the frame of the picture plane. I just want to work within the picture plane. I might actually add another one just onto the outside there. Now I can leave the design like this, but I'm actually going to add a little bit of shading. So into one of these sections I'm starting at one end, at the pointed end, going dark to light in the middle. Just a bit of a gradient blend, and the same at the other side. I'm going to do that on every second one. It's a sort of fairly quick bit of shading that you can apply, which will suggest some volume. It looks like it's going into a shadowy corner. So I've just worked on each section and done that little bit of shading, creating that sense of volume. Now the next thing I'm going to do is turn it over, take my ruler, and I'm going to measure it. Now I already knew I'd measured it in regular centimetres, so the maths is easy. So I'm just dividing it in half. If you had a cutting mat and a knife or a guillotine, this would make it even quicker, but I don't. I'm at home. I do have a knife and cutting mat downstairs, but I can't be bothered going to get them, so I'm going to do it with scissors. So I'm measuring and I'm measuring again at 4 centimetres. The reason why I've turned over the ruler is because it's a cork ruler, it kind of drags a little bit, so it's just easy to line up and slide when I do it that way. I'm going to take a pair of scissors and we're cutting from the heel. I ideally want to cut in one cut from the heel, lining it up carefully and cutting one straight cut. And then I'm going to cut the other axis and the other axis, and then I'm going to put this little big jigsaw back together. So anything that's a regular polygon will repeat in a grid arrangement, but we don't want to have the motif with a load of blank background or negative space. So we are going to fill in the background in a really quick, easy way. I'm going to rearrange this though. I'm going to move one piece to the right across to the left, the right across to the left, and the ones from the bottom across to the top. Now what's happened is we have just moved the central image to the 4 corners. So this connects to that, this connects to that, this connects to this, this connects to this. So I'm going to turn it over carefully without rearranging any of the components, and then using some masking tape I'm going to tape these pieces together. Now I tend to put them in line really carefully, hold them tight, and use a small piece of masking tape to anchor them. I'll then secure them completely in a few minutes with a long piece of tape across the whole section. So it's stuck together and secure. I'm going to turn it over, and now you can see the negative space is all central to the design. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to connect some of these points. I'm going to connect this one to that one, and I'm going to do exactly what I did on the previous version. I'm quite happy with that. So the next thing I would do is shade in exactly as I have previously. Where you draw over the lines, the connecting panels, they might find that there's a little ridge. Don't worry too much about that if it alters your drawing. Just follow the principles of what we were doing before. The next thing I'm going to do is colour in any negative space, so any remaining background areas. I'm going to pop a bit of colour into them. Here I'm just using a felt tip. Now I could have done the whole thing in pen, but because I wanted to add a little bit of shading, I opted for pencil. This is just to get rid of the white of the paper. You know, I like to remove the white of the paper to make the work feel more developed. So anywhere where there's a negative space, it is not one of the kind of shapes we've drawn, those ribbon-like gooseberry shapes that appear in the design now. So you can see the design has evolved. So we've got the original drawing. I photographed it on my phone, roughly squared on and in plan view, and I've now popped it over to the OneDrive. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go to New Presentation in PowerPoint, open a new blank slide, and I'm going to try and paste it in. If I try and paste it in, it won't let me. What I need to do is right click and go to this graphic, which is Paste as Image. Important you go to that one. It's now come in, it's reorientated it as I'd photographed it, so I'm going to turn it round the way I have drawn it and pasting it in. And now it's got the selection on it, I'm going to Control C, I'm going to Control V. I can get on a move tool and I can just slide it across and it will snap to lock. I will select both of them as a group, Control C, Control V. Obviously we would go into Photoshop if we wanted to do anything to do editing colours and so on, but here it's a really quick way to make a visual mock-up. I'm going to just copy the whole lot now as a group. I'm going to pop them, oops, Control C, Control V. I'm going to pop them on the row below, so you can see very rapidly how we can develop a repeat pattern from a drawn image rather rapidly.